Mheshimiwa Caleb Amisi, karibu sana.
Thank you.
He is the MP for Saboti Constituency. In the National Assembly, he's a member of the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee. We'll be having a conversation with him shortly. Welcome, the Mheshimiwa, with the day's proverb.
Yes.
A word of prayer, Oro.
Proverb.
I thought you were saying you were coming a word of prayer.
This is not a political rally. I'm about Mnaza na mom because we knew what might happen. And then you have a few people claiming to be either rainmakers or preventers of rain walking around the compound. Okay. It's just a proverb from the country of Kenya. And our proverb for the day is this: the value of light is noticed when night falls.
The value of light is noticed when night falls.
Yes.
Simple, plain, and clear.
What's your interpretation of it?
It's just as simple as that you will not know the importance of something until it is not there. So at night, when the light is not there, that's when now you know the importance of light. And you'll not know the importance of Caleb until I walk out of this studio. It will be darkness.
Caleb is the light.
That's Caleb the light.
I am the light.
I am the light.
Mheshimiwa, you're a member of the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee, and I just want to start off with this conversation because we touched on it in the previous hour. The president on Jamhuri Day said that this country, from the 1st of January next year, we are removing the visa restriction into the country. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's true. I'm a member of the Defense Foreign Relations Committee, not just this term, also last term. I'm one of the longest serving MP. I'm also a vice chair of Public Investments Committee. That should not go silent. And also on appointment, all these CSS, we are the one who vetted them, and we gave our report against them. Yes, the president did pronounce himself on this visa thing. First of all, in the world of diplomacy, visa exemption is a tool of diplomacy. In fact, is a negotiation tool that countries even have a bilateral arrangements, and the visa is one of that carrot that you dangle, and you say, guys, we want to extend our bilateral ties. We want this trade agreement. In return, we'll also exempt your citizens from a visa or whatever, country to country. There is never a universal declaration of exemption on visa. In fact, it is a new. And the world of diplomacy is not domestic-centric, if I may use that word. We are guided by the Vienna Convention. Agreements, the Geneva Conventions, the Vienna Conventions that were entered into 1969 during the Vienna Conference, they guide diplomacy. Diplomacy does not operate in a vacuum. There are guiding. There is international law. And in Kenya, if you have to choose, either you are part of Vienna Convention or you are not. There are no two ways about it. And the visa thing is part of it. The treaty making, the agreement, the bilateral ties, multilateral, is all in Vienna Convention. Whatever we do, in fact, the other day, we saw the former minister, Alfred Mutua, trying to relinquish some work of the Minister of Foreign Affairs that ambassadors can now, can now link with all the ministries without going through the ministry. That is basically saying we no longer have a Minister of Foreign Affairs. Number one. Number two, those are not even words to come from a president. I really pity most of our ministers, because I'm sure maybe even Mudavadi will not even aware. Some of these roadside pronouncements that used to happen during Moi's time, they're now, reappearing. There is a way you engage before you even declare that you are now a visa-free country.
What is that way?
You have to seek parliamentary approval. You know, we
it in
pass.
law?
You know, we as a country, as I said, we are bound by the Vienna Convention. We are bound also by the international practice, international law, international way of engagement, diplomacy, and the foreign affairs policy. We have a foreign policy. So how is our foreign policy? Is designed. You don't just wake up one day and pronounce yourself. Is it part of our foreign policy? You design a foreign policy. Kenya has a foreign policy. Is it part of our foreign policy? So secondly, even if it was to help us, of what gain? Having an influx of citizens from all over the globe come into your country, for what purpose? Is it that now opportunities have now bound to all the human being in the world? You want to share it? Is it that Kenya is lacking human resource, is lacking something, and you want it to tap it from the globe? You must have a value to what? To what extent is it going to benefit the country? Have you, weighed pros and cons against it? And that's why Parliament comes in. You must draft something by the executive. You bring it to Parliament. Parliament takes it to the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations. We debate. Later on, we ratify, we pass, and you can make a pronouncement on it. Even our treaty, if we have a pact, a military pact between UK and the EU and the Kenya, it goes through Parliament. The president does not pronounce himself during Jamhuri Day that we are now going to have a military pact with United Kingdom. No, there are procedures. The executive comes with the treaty. The treaty is processed by Parliament through debate and approval, reject either with as it is in whole or with some amendments or some reservations, and then you take back to the executive to implement. But what the current scenario we can see, and it has not started. You remember even the Haiti thing just came from the president. The Haiti pronouncement was just from the president.
Roadside declarations.
It was a roadside declaration. Eventually, it's now, it's like you declare and then you bring it to Parliament.
Are you saying that this particular one is unprocedural?
It is, because number one, we have so much engagement, bilateral treaties and agreement with various countries, and one of our takeaway was that yes, you've given us this and we are exempting you. So what happens to those existing treaties and agreement? What happens? There is now going to be so
what's Parliament going to do about it? Because you're complaining that this has happened this time. There was the Haiti issue. Still, your committee, you're saying, should have processed this before a deal is made and signed. There are other things that have happened before. What is Parliament going to do this time? What's your committee doing this time? Even the issue of deployment of the military to North Kenya happened before Parliament was consulted. Your committee again. The problem we have with the Parliament right now, not even our committee. Parliament is more or less an extension of executive. Why? Because the majority have been choreographed to think and pass laws in the direction of the president. So much so that even if some of us have a contrary view, our committee is majorly members of Parliament from UDA, the governing side. If a vote is called, they'll have an advantage. We talk. Minority will have their say, but the majority will carry the day. Is the minority saying, though?
My minority is me. I'm saying. I'll say it from whichever forum, not just here. I've said it elsewhere. If we are on recess, but if we open up Parliament, I'll put a question to the minister. That question, of course, the minister will be called. Recently, we've seen the bad manners from the minister. We put questions and they don't come. They give excuses. They have traveled. And it is not easy to get the Minister for Foreign Affairs coming to Parliament because he will always be on flight to nowhere, somewhere in the air. He's always, and you can't tell him off air, can you drop and come back? So it's always very difficult to get Minister of Foreign Affairs. But those are some of the questions I'm going to put forth. Because
must he be the only one you talk to? What about
that? Is the procedure. The
is
minister,
that it is the minister?
It's only the minister who can come to Parliament. Yes, the ministry can write a response through the chair of a committee, but physical presence is by the minister.
It needs to be the
himself.
Minister is the only person.
Yes.
But then, Mheshimiwa, that's not the only avenue, the only tool that you have, waiting for Parliament to be in session so that you can ask a question on the floor of the House. As a member of the committee, have you written to the chair of the committee? Have you reached out to other members to see how many are like-minded, including those in the minority with you, and maybe those in the majority, who would sign a letter of protest saying this committee has been bypassed yet again? Because it's yet again. Your committee is just becoming like, we don't even need you people.
No, but like I said, our committee is skewed towards by numbers towards the UDA side of the government. We may have our own voice, and Parliament does not operate in a way that any member can just write a protest letter. No, we as a committee, we sit and deliberate, and you are called upon. The reason why you are a member of Parliament is because you belong to that committee. Otherwise, don't make noise on the street like a normal Kenyan and writing protest letters. No, they'll say, why are you writing protests on the street when you have a committee of defense and foreign relations? That's why I said this thing has happened when you're on recess. But the moment we resume in January, then we'll have an opportunity to protest within Parliament, not on the streets like a common Kenyan.
Do I understand you to be saying that members of your committee who are the majority now, how many are you together, just in total, that committee?
Of course, all committees that are departmental are led by government.
No, I'm asking by the numbers. How many?
The numbers are 15, and the majority must come from the ruling party.
Okay, and the majority are how many?
The majority is by 8. So
they are 8, so you are 7.
Yes.
Now, the question I'm asking is this. Are you telling me that even on an issue that is clearly a national issue, that all these 8 members, not even one of them, can actually see the sense in what the minority are saying?
They can see the sense when it comes to a vote. So they are called at State House. You see, we've gone through. I want
to understand.
It is the same way.
So they see the sense.
It's the same way a finance bill passes. They will talk. They will tell us this thing is bad. Wananchi don't want. Then they are called at State House for a tea. I don't know what they put in that tea. I've yet to understand what they put in that. They come back different. So that is the scenario we are in.
So essentially, members of Parliament, the House of Parliament essentially can easily be swayed beyond the recognition of good reason. That when there are actually things that are good for the people of Kenya, that there is a possibility that vested in this House of Parliament is the chance that they can be easily swayed because of a cup of tea. And these are the individuals, mind you, on whom the responsibility of representation was placed on them by the people by virtue of their vote. But you're telling us that essentially that does not matter if a cup of tea is in the offering.
You've stressed on the cup of tea. Maybe,
that's what you've told me that has tipped the balance.
Maybe it could have been uji or just a word.
Or cup of something.
But the operations of Parliament, yes, we are in what we call presidential system of governance. It exists in US. Even in the US, when we have a Republican motion or a bill, it must be passed by members of that party. It is a way that we say Parliament is an oversight, but in essence, we are in a party democracy. So members of that party must obey the direction of the party. And when the party's whip is cracked, the members are aligned. So it is in some democracy, but even US, there are some members you will see from the Republican opposite what the Republican are saying, and for Democrats. But here, it is even worse. Once a whip is cracked, those people are aligned. Whatever you had agreed, they come back and they do the opposite. So it's something that we need to live with it, or we change our system of government. And if it is only good for you, if the president or the executive is giving the proper direction. So even if they are going to vote by the mind of the president, then it has to be the best for the country. Then we all agree it's the best way to go. But most of these members, they come regret it. They want to do this way, but their party has said, no, this is the direction.
So their party has whipped them in a certain direction.
In certain direction. In some cases where members, outrightly oppose the position of the party, they have faced the consequences.
What are these consequences that they face?
One, of course, you may not be nominated. They say this is a rebel. Secondly, you just not been the good books of the executive. Of course, what that one means.
You lose the perks.
Exactly.
So basically what you're saying is that members would then be breaching their own oath of office.
It is unfortunate.
Let me read the oath.
Yes.
The oath says, I, put your name, having been elected a member of the National Assembly, do swear in the name of the Almighty God that I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the people and the Republic of Kenya. I will obey, respect, uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, and that I will faithfully and what's that other word?
Conscientiously.
That one. I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge the duties of a member of Parliament. So help me God. That faithfully and using your conscience, serve the people.
Yes.
If your conscience is telling you that this is a wrong thing to do, and then you go ahead and do it, what's the point of the oath?
What is the measure of this conscience?
Your own conscience.
Yeah, what is the measure? What tells you that this is the right conscience? This is what the conscience has. We can see you physically. You don't know your conscience. What is the measure?
That's what I'm saying. If a member of Parliament votes a certain way, and then they come and tell us, my conscience was telling me different, then they have broken the oath.
Yeah, but you see,
if a member of Parliament votes a certain way, then they must stand by that. They can't come and tell us, I was whipped, I was no.
But I say that is an unfortunate scenario we have. I wish Parliament itself was a party, so that it is Parliament whipping you, not your respective parties whipping you. If Parliament was a single party, because even by going by your party position is conscience as well. So
even if your party position does not,
that's why what is the measure
your conscience has brought you into the party line.
What is that measure of conscience? Because also being in the line with the party is also, you've also swore to protect
the position of the party.
Exactly.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation, hosting the Honorable Amisi. Caleb, for now, use Caleb. When you're in Saboti, we say Caleb. All right. The Honorable Caleb Amisi is a member of Parliament for Saboti Constituency, a member of several committees of the National Assembly. One of them, the Defence, Foreign Relations, the other one being the Appointments Committee, the other one being the
Public Investments
Committee on what?
Public Investments Committee on Agriculture, Social Service and Administration. I'm the Vice Chair.
Very good. So we've seen very many things happening from the executive that just end up coming to Parliament for rubber stamping, and it's not just one, it's not two, it's not three, it's many things. But are there things that Parliament is able to put a check on?
Yes.
Are there things that the Parliament is actually able to properly oversight the executive and say, this is the procedure, this is how you shall follow procedure, this is what we allowed you to do, and you are breaching what Parliament allowed you to do?
In my few years I've been in Parliament, I've seen a number of issues, even last Parliament, this Parliament, where Parliament has unanimously decided to take on executive, especially the issues where the head of the executive has not pronounced himself on. The problem comes when the head of the executive has pronounced himself on some issue. Then in short, he is actually directing the Parliament, this is the way to go, including his members. But when the head of the executive is silent and he leaves it to Parliament, that is now where that consciousness comes in. That's where now the true value of that word comes in. Parliament comes together. We've seen several occasions where a good example is when a member was nominated to be ambassador of South Korea, Mwende Mwinzi, and she was found to be holding dual citizenship, and the parliament rejected her name. Actually, the name was passed with a caveat on it that she must denounce her citizenship to United States of America as a whole. And you remember, she was nominated by the executive. So when the head of executive has been silent on an issue, Parliament now comes and does what needs to be done to Kenya. So many, even impeachment of a minister. Of course, there have been attempts before. Attempt, and you could see unanimous decision and
until the head.
Until if the head does not come in, then you face the fate as it comes. But the moment the head of the executive gives a direction on something, and remember the head, and that's why Ruto made sure that before he carries the Bible, he has the majority members in parliament. In an African context, I think even if I were him, I'll do the same. Otherwise, you'll not govern. Because parliament can paralyze you. The problem is when you misuse that majority.
Mheshimiwa, how do you decide that when is someone misusing it and when are they using it properly?
That consciousness is talking about. Now you must have a conscious president who is doing the right thing. That if opposition to Obama's care was not because it was bad, it was just because these Republicans didn't want anything democratic from Democrats to
They
go
didn't want
through.
him to get the shine.
Yes, to go through. Not because the Obamacare was not bad.
It was not good.
It was not good. So it just depends on the person who is heading the executive. What does he portend for this country? Is he doing it for the goodness of everyone? Or is it for self-interest or for his own,
Do you think it's possible, from what we've seen, because you allude to what happened in the previous administration, and there's all sorts of things that were flying around, the capture of parliament by the executive. We cannot run away from the same narrative right now, based on what you've said. Is it possible in Kenya today for members of parliament to then be able to act independently of the executive? Depending on what your answer would be, then I think Kenyans have a lot to think about. Do you think it is possible for members of parliament today, with the way things are currently instituted, to operate in an independent manner, taking those three things into consideration: legislation, representation and oversight, and
they do.
Doing their job.
Members of parliament, they do operate independently, up to where the head of executive now has an interest in any matter before the House.
Okay, so let me ask it differently. Are there matters in the House that are actually void of the executive's interference or capture?
Yes.
In Parliament?
At some point, there are matters where executive does not want to be part of. And that's where now Parliament exercises its full power. We've seen it before. The moment the matter has come from executive, either through the leader of majority, or it is a bill that matters to the executive, whether it was a housing levy, whether it was a finance bill, whether it is members nominated by the president and they want them to go through by force, then that's where now you see party positions coming in. As I said, the issue of party position in Parliament is not identical to Kenya. It is all over. In the US and the Congress, you'll see people retreating to their party cocoons. So it's something that is a problem of democracy. They say democracy may not be the best form of government, but it is the best we can have.
You know, the voice that you say the opposition has is not loud. In fact, sometimes you even wonder why it's there. Sometimes you wonder whether even it's a whisper. We buried a former member of parliament recently, a gentleman by the name of Lawrence Sifuna.
Yeah.
If you remember the time when they were in parliament and there was KANU, they were a minority, not majority, minority. But boy, were they loud. That's why.
Loud.
Oh, they were very, very, very loud. They were a minority.
Yeah.
And then the problems they had then were real. You could be detained, you could be in prison, you could even disappear.
Yeah.
But they were really, really loud.
Yeah.
So one remembers what they did. Now, those of you in the minority, unfortunately, we will not remember what you did, except you didn't do much.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate thing. Because, yes, you say, and every time we ask people who are in the minority, they read the Hansard. I am not going to read the Hansard. I want to hear, because we hear what the UDA side says. We hear them all the time.
You want to hear them from where? From Parliament?
Wherever they need to be heard from.
We want to hear you from Parliament.
Yes.
We want to hear you at funeral. We want to
Are
hear
you not hearing me now? Can I give you more?
Let me give you an example, James Orenko. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
The governor of Siaya County, James Orenko, gave an example, and he said, you know how vibrant the opposition was in that time? That in the morning when they were leaving to go where they would go, they would be told to eat. Eat meat, eat vegetables, eat ugali, drink milk. No, you don't know if you'll come home that night.
Carry a jacket.
Carry a jacket. They said, there's a word he used, I can't remember. He said, if you need to take a little something strong in the morning, do that too. Because they knew that they were not going to allow any nonsense as far as they were concerned. And if it found them on the way, they would speak out. And they knew that the likelihood of them being taken to another establishment, aside from where they live, as being a guest of the state, was very high.
Yes.
Because it was known that they were not going to take just anything standing down.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, that potency of opposition has been watered down significantly over the years, and I think that's what CT is.
That is not true.
It's not true.
Your imagination of an opposition leader is to be rough.
No, to be loud.
To be loud.
To be heard, even.
Yes, loud here means whatever you are doing doesn't have to be sought after. It needs to take center stage, and one will notice it whether one wants to notice it or not.
So, as I said, assuming you are a one, what will you do?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, plenty.
Yes. Just say it now.
I will be on literally every radio station I can.
Am I not there?
No.
Speak as we speak.
This isn't reference to you.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It is you people in the minority, not you.
Yes.
You have said you speak. I know what you have said.
Yes.
But you are one person.
Or I was not loud enough. Maybe
But I
I
think
shout.
it goes even beyond that.
You know,
Mheshimiwa,
what I'm saying, this in short.
what we ought to be hearing from you, what we ought to be hearing from you is you coming to tell us, this is what we have done in Parliament, all right? We remember, members of Parliament have told us NGCDF has not been disbursed. We may have an issue with disbursement of bursaries in January. Why? Because you unanimously took a position. It was discussed on the floor of the House. It was discussed on the precincts of Parliament, loudly and vociferously. Okay? We remember that. We do not hear where over 100 members of the minority have actually spoken with one voice to say the executive is bypassing Parliament, usurping the authority of Parliament, and giving examples. And that matter, forcing that matter to be discussed on the floor of the House, and also now bringing it outside of the House, so that you say this examples, capture of Parliament. We don't hear. We only hear, but you know.
No, that's why I said your way of looking at it is what is different.
Okay.
There are people who can be so lethal in their opposition to government, and those who may not be. And remember, this is inborn. In fact, if you go in my constituency, you may find people who just oppose everything, but they are not loud, but they are opposing. And there are people who are so loud, even one person, you may think the whole of that town is an opposition zone. It's an inborn thing. That's why I said, when you take the behaviors on the character of some individual and link them to the current leadership, you go wrong. Number two, we have made noise. It's only that if you are to say that noise must be amplified, then it is you in the media to amplify it. We make noise in Parliament. What goes on the air is that what is executive side has said. If you twist your camera and look to what I do in my committees, most of the work goes around in the committees. Forget about the plenary, because plenary, in fact, you raise to speak, and the speaker deliberately don't want you to speak because he knows you are going to oppose. In fact, some of us have even stopped bothering to speak. We concentrate on the committee because we are like our names have been blacklisted. When they see Caleb there, they know this is one of the guys in Trans Nzoia who are very lethal against the government. They don't want to give you a chance. So this is the problem we go through. In those days, there were how many members? In fact, if you look at the Senate, the Senate is a better representation of Parliament of that day. There were very few. There were chances to speak. In our Parliament with 300 and so members, the only opportunity maybe an opposition will have is through Opio Wandai, because by preference, by the position he has in Parliament, he'll be getting preference from the Speaker. But the rest of us, you will raise your hand until the chicken comes home to us. So I think you must also look at the difference in time, the difference in scenario, and remember we have also a problem. A problem we have now is that we have more or less made look like it is the Raila and opposition epicenter. That if Caleb speaks, let's wait for Raila to speak. In fact, if I call for maandamano now, nobody will come.
Right.
But if Baba calls, they will come. Are you getting? So we have. I don't think that scenario was there during that day. That's why the voice of Sifuna could be heard, the voice of Orengo could be heard, because it was the scale was different. But now the scale in such a way that Kenyans are just blinded that if it is Raila, in fact, this Caleb is talking nonsense. Is Raila even agreeing with what Caleb is saying?
But
in fact, maybe he's even opposing
the example that Eric has given, when there was a matter of the Constituency Development Fund, everybody heard it. Everybody.
But that was Parliament. That was not opposition.
Yes. I'm going somewhere. Why I gave the example is that's an opportunity that presented itself in showing us Parliament can actually agree.
Yes.
Okay. When we had the finance bill, we heard the opposition.
So you've been hearing them. So what's complaining?
No, it's not loud enough. This my point is not. It's not that you don't speak.
I gave you an opportunity for you to be loud enough. For 2 seconds, you didn't take the advantage.
I started by saying.
You didn't take advantage.
I started by saying I would be on every open forum, every media. That's how I started.
Opposition are in every. In fact, you should have attended the funeral of your friend, Let Sifuna, and you see how loud the opposition leaders were, and very vicious, vigorous, opposing. I don't know how the loudness you're talking about. I wish the media. Now the problem is you media. You also fears. You fear that loudness.
Actually,
you think you'll be closed down.
No. Actually, we don't, because
those times.
You correctly said that you are here. Can you not see that I'm actually making you speak louder? Can you not see that you are actually? That is what one expects.
In fact, what I've said today, this should be like on top of the newspaper tomorrow, and you see how loud I'll appear. So I'm saying it is you to amplify what you are saying. Otherwise, I can't shout from here to Marsabit. What I've said now, don't even wait for something. Don't put there Ruto tomorrow for a newspaper. Put Caleb as vehemently opposed what Ruto said on Jamhuri Day. Just put it on the top page of the media. You'll see. And the next day I call for a demonstration in town. You'll see how people will come.
No, that they won't come.
So they will. Let me tell you, they will.
No, that they won't come.
You are talking about people who have voted for me. They'll not come.
No, they will not come. For Mandamano, it will be a gathering of maybe 5 people.
They will. People are tired. They are tired. They will.
You know, Mheshimiwa, let me explain it to you so that you understand. That you can come, you can on an invite and speak your mind, exactly what we're talking about. You see, the idea that you can actually express what it is you feel with the amount of angst that is required so that the expression is not mistaken as a small academic discussion, because the issues...
So I'm doing well, others are not. Eh? I can go tell them that you guys...
No, please tell them. No, they're doing badly.
Yeah. I'll go tell them that I'm the only one.
No, you're not the only one. We have had people here who have also come and told us from both sides, from UDA as well as from Azimi. We've had people come here.
Yeah.
You see, the whole point of representation, if it isn't understood on the terms of those you're representing, then the question will be asked, where you
I want to also give you another scenario.
Yes.
And it's good you've said if you call for Mandamano tomorrow, for only one people.
For you, if you call, 5 people will come.
5 people will be there. Unless you...
I'll come. I'll be the 6th one.
Yeah, you will be the 6th one.
Because I know you.
Unless you entice them. Okay?
Or unless you ask me to come with 5 of my friends.
5 of your friends.
We might reach 10.
So what do you think is the reason? And yet they are suffering.
And your message is very clear.
And the message is...
I think the answer to that question lies in you having been elected. It is twice now, is it not?
Yes.
Precisely. Which means the people who count, the people whom you seek representation from, have understood you represent them well.
Yes.
And that is a good place to start.
Yes.
It always is. The people who support you. Twice.
I have a different view. Yes.
Please.
I agree. The people who support me.
Yes.
The reason why the voice of opposition looks muzzled is also that lack of the support of the people.
Please explain.
Leaders get motivated by the masses. If I go to the streets and they shout alone, the following day I'll not. Mm-hmm. If I go to the streets and the people come, the following day I'll go to another street, and another street, and another street. We must ask ourselves, don't just blame the leaders. Is a replica of the society. Ask yourself, why are these leaders so discouraged, disillusioned by coming out strongly to fight for the masses? It's because the masses leaves you behind when push comes to shove. If you are arrested, you'll be alone with your family. Then the family tells you, last day, I'll give you an example when I was tear gassed. In fact, during 2007, I just said that word consciously. Just two days after saying that word, a tear gas was thrown directly behind my car. Directly. People see tear gas nowadays like somebody smoking cigarette there, they think it's tear gas. And they ran away.
Yours was inside the car.
A tear gas was thrown in the rear mirror. And, it burst inside. My driver collapsed on the steering. If it was not a media personality from Reuters, and I know him, who opened my door and I fell down to get at least some air. I could have died that time. Yeah. Up to now, I visit Nairobi Hospital for my chest checkup because of that. And you see, when a member comes out like that, a strong leader comes out and he has no support, then the family tells you, when you're in the hospital, we were only us there. When you were arrested, it was only us there. These Kenyans you fight for, where are they? Then that leader now retreats and says, so I'm leaving my 2-year-old fighting for people who don't care. Okay? Then anarudi anasema hapana, huyu mtoto wangu miaka 2. I'm just living struggling. And if you live, if you die, the wife will marry and will be inherited. I don't know that. So where utaenda, but the life will go on. You'll disappear and they'll bury you. So you come back to your senses and say, where are these Kenyans? Is it that I'm doing the right thing for them or wrong? I think the voice of the leaders who have the audacity, like Caleb, to oppose what is wrong can only be amplified by the support of the masses. Tomorrow, if I call 1,000 people in Nairobi and they turn up, trust me, the following day I'll be in Mombasa, with or without money. I have the motivation, me personally, but the Kenyans don't. So who are you fighting for?
The Kenyans.
You've been a strong case, huh?
He's
Yeah,
been a very,
who are you-
very strong case.
Who are you fighting for?
And then you
And the family will call you in the evening and say, so these people you are fighting for, where are they? I'm the only one. I'm your
Outside,
wife who was
yeah.
there. I'm the one who was there when you arrested. I'm the one to raise this money. Why are these Kenyans not raising for you the money?
And actually they should, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
They are the ones who actually should actually support your candidature.
exactly.
Yes.
And that's why Obama was able to raise trillions of money to become a president. If Obama was in Kenya, he will not even be an MCA in Kogelo.
Caleb, very, very strong case you've made. Sawa, you've come back. That's a very good comeback.
Very,
one,
very good.
That is an effective comeback. Sawa.
Super.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.